Hello, and welcome to the Tyler Dale Podcast. On my last podcast, I briefly mentioned that I was 268 pounds, and then I never told you where I went from there. And so I decided that today I would kind of talk to you about my weight loss journey over the past 5 years, 3 to 5 years. It all starts with dieting. I would say one of the most important things in my life, in my family's life, has been the Whole30 diet, or ultimately the Whole30 lifestyle. Over the past 3 years, I've gone from 268 to 200 pounds, and that was basically because of the Whole30 diet. At least partially, had a great deal to do with it. And if you were unfamiliar with the Whole30 diet, the diet is basically no added sugar, no grains, no dairy, no alcohol. So basically it's protein, vegetables, and fruit. And basically the bare minimal, of what you really need to survive and to be healthy and to thrive. And I feel like over the past 3 years, losing 68 pounds, it has been incredible, and a lot of it has been because of the Whole30 diet. So, big fan of that. Another thing that has helped me has been intermittent fasting. Now, you can find out more about intermittent fasting by looking up some podcasts with Dr. Rhonda Patrick. She has several podcasts with Joe Rogan. I think she also has different videos that she has posted herself that talks about different methods that she uses. I know one of those methods is the intermittent fasting methods, which I have used as well. I have done intermittent fasting, and I've also done like full 24-hour fasting. I'm not 100% sure on all the names of the different types of fasting. I know that there is where you can have an eating window of 8 hours or of 12 hours, or you can have an eating window of 4 hours, which is what I tend to do. So 20 hours of no eating, and then basically from 4 p.m. or like 4 to 9, somewhere in there, I'll eat my first meal. So skipping breakfast, skipping lunch, eating dinner, eating a big Whole30 dinner. Those are some things that I have done. I wouldn't say that that's condoned by Whole30 or the creators of Whole30. I know that in Whole30 they definitely recommend eating your normal meals, 3 meals a day or 3 to 6 meals a day. But I have found personally for me that intermittent fasting has really helped. Dr. Rhonda Patrick will also talk about sauna, the benefits of heat shock proteins through sauna. If you have a gym that you go to that has a sauna in it, absolutely do that. Try and do 30 minutes a day. I know it's amazing for your cardiovascular system. Like I said, you can look up some more videos with Dr. Rhonda Patrick talking about sauna use and talking about intermittent fasting. So that basically sums up, for the most part, dieting. At least what I've experienced and what I've kind of dealt with. So I'm going to go and move on to some physical activities. I think one of the biggest things for me personally in my journey has been running. I think it was probably 2015, maybe closer to 2017 when I really started running. I was basically just inspired by Cameron Hanes on the Joe Rogan Experience. Cameron Hanes is a professional bow hunter. He's a professional ultramarathon runner. He's ran the Moab 240, which is 238 miles in the desert. And I just was totally inspired by him. And so I kind of started running right then and there. I would run 2 to 5 miles during the week. And then on the week weekends, I would run 10 miles on Sunday or so. And I was never an endurance athlete ever. In high school, I would always play football or basketball or baseball or track, but I never chose to do anything with endurance running. So it was very new to me in 2017, and I would kind of run off and on throughout the years. I ran a marathon last year, the St. Louis Cowbell Marathon, and it was an incredible experience. Over the years, I think the number one thing that I've learned has been the power of your mind and the power of mind over body. I like to call it spirit over flesh. It's something that I'm constantly thinking of, like the power of the spirit over flesh. When I was running the marathon at mile 13, I wanted to quit. I felt pain run down my legs, my calves, and they were shooting down my thighs, and it felt miserable. And my body was telling me to quit, but my mind said, no, you got to keep going. And so I think that's something that I've learned through listening to podcasts from Cameron Haynes, listening to people like Wim Hof, who has broken several Guinness World Records, and he talks about putting your body to work and putting your mind to work, and the power of mind over body and cold exposure, and in marathon running, in any sort of physical training, really any kind of training at all. It's so important to remember that even when your body wants to stop, you want to give up or something, your mind is so powerful, and it's something that needs to be sharpened. And that's something that I've been trying to sharpen by running a marathon and by doing those types of things. And I know for a fact, for me, I want to run more marathons. I aspire to be more and more like people like Cam Haynes and David Goggins, who are out there every day running. They're hammering. They're getting after it, and that's how I want to be. So I aspire to be an ultra marathon runner, a Ironman. Like, I want to compete in an Ironman. I would love to do a bodybuilding competition at some point in my life. Especially because my dad did it, and so I would love to get some side-by-side pictures of my dad when he's 30, and when I'm, in my 30s, maybe I'll do a body competition or something like that. But I always want to find ways to push my body, and so running is one of those ways that I found that. I think other than running, something that's helped me a lot has been pull-ups. I used to not be able to do any pull-ups at all. Couldn't do one. And I was probably in my early 20s. And even though I was always in the gym for football, for the sports I played in high school, I could not do a pull-up. And so basically one day I bought a pull-up bar. I hung it over my bedroom door. And I also put a chair down in front of it. And what I did was every single day I'd walk by it, I would get up on the pull-up bar, and I'd put my feet on the chair, and I would go through the motion of doing a pull-up. What that did was it started building my muscles. It started getting me used to the motion. I was basically using the chair as a pull-up assistant, right? Well, after I was doing that every day, then I could do one without the chair. And then that led to doing 3 without the chair. 5, 8, 10. I was doing sets of 10 pull-ups, and I could never do them before in my life. But because I would work at it every single day, And because I would just show up and I had the chair and I would just go through the motions, I started building those muscles. And so not only with pull-ups, but with dips, with push-ups, squats, any kind of calisthenics, any time you're using body weight, I've really found that really helps. At least when it comes to losing some body fat, kind of toning up a little bit. Currently, my goal is to do 50 pull-ups a day right now. I was inspired by Cam Hanes' his son, actually, Justin Truitt, who just passed David Goggins' pull-up record. He did a post the other day on Instagram that said that he does 100 pull-ups every single day. And so I don't think I've talked about this yet, but what happened was over the quarantine, I gained a COVID 25, I would say. So went from 268 to 200 in February of 2020, and then basically from late February to late April, actually even May, I was just off my diet, off the Whole30, not really caring. I didn't have any discipline. And so my new goal is to do 50 pull-ups, to get back on the Whole30. I'm sitting right now roughly 215. I would like to in the future be roughly 175. At least my next goal is 190 and then maybe 175, kind of depending on several things, how I feel, basically. And that's another thing to consider. All of this is on my personal experience. My professor, Rick Hayden, who hopefully I'll be having on the podcast, always would say, we are a sum of our own experiences. So this is some things, this is how I have arrived at 215 where I am now, through the Whole30, through running, through pull-ups, through body weight, through calisthenics. Those type of things have really been helpful for me. And so they can be helpful for you. I would recommend trying those things. Other than drinking water every day, other than getting on a really great multivitamin. I mean, there's so many other things you can do that will also help you on your health journey. But for me, those are just a couple things right off the bat. So dieting, running, and pull-ups, and drinking water. Another thing, though, that I want to talk to you about a little bit is setting goals. I am a huge goal setter. And I'm always constantly reading self-help books, self-help motivation, podcasts. I'm constantly trying to get inspired and get motivated. And I think one thing that really helps is setting goals. I'll share with you one of my goals. I shared with you several about my pull-up goals and some of my dieting goals. Another goal of mine is to get really good at ab wheels, the ab wheel rollout. That is a very difficult thing for me. I can do maybe one day, I could do a set of 5. I could do maybe 3 sets of 5 or, throughout the day. But then if I try and do it the next day, my abs are completely shredded and I just feel awful. So my goal now is I'm just going to do one a day. Every single day for 30 days. And then I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do 3. And I'm just going to keep working on it. It's a long process. At least that's the way I look at it. I don't want to necessarily go out there and do 100 ab rollouts and then feel awful and never, and then not be able to move for the week. I will be pushing myself in other ways. Like I'm going to be trying to get back into marathon running, and I really want to become good at that. I want to shave off time. There's just so many things that I want to be doing. So one of my goals is to be working on the ab roll workout. So I would suggest to you to set goals, whether that be losing weight, losing body fat, Doing things like doing pull-ups, walking for 30 minutes a day, literally whatever you can do that's gonna get your heart rate going, right? That's what is the most important thing that I would recommend to you, whether that be running, walking, pull-ups, going to the gym, working out. I'm a big proponent of that as well. I have a gym in my basement. I have a squat rack. I have a bench press. It's so important. There's so many different things you can do. Deadlift. There's so many different programs online. But the most important thing about all of this is actually doing it, showing up, having the discipline. Jocko Willink, extreme ownership. Discipline equals freedom. Like, showing up and doing those pull-ups every day, you're going to start seeing results. If you're actively searching for results, if you're out there, along the way, I've had people reach out to me and ask, what are you doing to lose weight? And ultimately it's discipline. It all comes down to discipline and actually going through with what you are talking about, instead of just talking about it. And that's another thing that I want to use this podcast for, is I want to have accountability partners. I want you to be one of my accountability partners. Hey, are you out there? Are you running? Are you training for a marathon? Are you training for an Ironman yet? What are you working on? I think it's important to have accountability partners in your life. And basically what an accountability partner is that's somebody who, if you say you're going to do something, it's somebody that's going to check in with you like, hey man, how are those miles going? On the podcast, you mentioned running marathons. How's that going? And for me, somebody who's always been an accountability partner for me is Kristen. My sister, Kristen Annie. We push each other constantly. She ran the half marathon. We would train together. When I ran the marathon, she ran the half. We would train together. We would talk about our struggles. She was one of my partners in crimes that was there helping me through the marathon. And so that's important, to have people in your life who are going to keep you accountable. And that's something that I'm looking for as well with doing this podcast. So set goals, find discipline, find that discipline. It's such an important thing in your life. I would really recommend reading Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, because he really talks about discipline a lot. Other than that, I would say, Jordan Peterson, one of my favorite rules from his book, 12 Rules for Life, and an Antidote to Chaos, was rule number 4. And Jordan Peterson basically said, compare yourself to who you were yesterday over who someone else is today. What does that mean? Well, I take it and I say, okay, did I run today? Yes. Okay, great. Did I do my pull-ups? Yes. Did I do my ab wheel rollout? Yes. Did I eat Whole30? Yes. Okay, so those are 4 things right there that I have checked off the list that I know I could do to make myself better. Duncan Trussell always says, tend to the part of the garden that you can touch. It's the same thing in your life when it comes to your body. Like, focus on getting your body right. Focus on getting your discipline right. Focus on who you are and the things that you're doing to make yourself better. The things that you're doing to get closer to your goals in your life. It's just so important to always do that. Instead of comparing yourself to who others are today. For example, I'm not The Rock. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The dude is jacked, right? We see him every day working out. Okay, that's what he has. He has discipline, right? We can learn from those people. We can listen to the Tony Robbins of the world. We can listen to the Cameron Haynes and the David Goggins, and we can get all the information. But the main thing is getting out there and doing it, because you're not The Rock and you never will be. I'm not Cameron Haynes and I never will be. I want to be the best version of myself. So I think for me, that's one thing that has always helped me, is to really focus on the fact that what can I do today that is going to make me better than yesterday? And I think that if you focus on doing that in your life, in every single area, whether that be fitness, whether that be dieting, whether that be with an instrument or learning anything in school, any kind of art, like just literally anything in life. If you focus on that, I really think that you would see benefits. And so I highly suggest that you focus on that. That's another great book to get. Dr. Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life, Antidote to Chaos. So, a couple of things along the way. I've also done yoga. I love hiking. Taking a walk. Especially recently, I just got a puppy, Cedar, and it's been really, really fun for me to take Cedar on walks. I live about a mile away from my sister. I think 2.5 miles from my mom and dad. I mean, literally my entire family, my other brothers, we all live really close. So I can just put Cedar on a leash and go for a walk and, visit one of them. And so it's been really great to get out there with the dog, So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up today, because that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, my journey so far, where I've come from, where I want to go. And I hope that this has helped you. I hope that this has inspired you and it motivates you to want to be better and want to get the best out of this life, because I feel like the healthier you are, the more energy you have, honestly, the more positive feelings that you have, and just a more positive attitude about life. I think it really does help if you have your health and your fitness together, at least if you're working on it. If you're actively dieting and exercising, I think it really helps. It's really helped me, and I hope it helps you. I hope you can learn from something that we've talked about today, and I'm excited to start getting some people on here for interviews. So I hope that you enjoyed today's podcast, and I look forward to the next one. Take care.